Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jean-Pierre Sanzabea. I'm just here to introduce DMC. So a few days ago, Yinka called me and asked me a question. Can you introduce DMC? Of course, you can say no to Yinka. You will have to say yes. And my next question was, how many minutes do I have? And she was, I have 2 minutes. So I was like, there's no way I can introduce this guy in just 2 minutes. So I'm going to give it a try. He has a very long resume, and I'll give my best to introduce him in 2 minutes. Mr. Kiamwaneza has served refugees from many countries for more than 10 years in his role at the Catholic Charities of Pittsburgh and NAMS. Okay, I'll start again. Mr. Kiamwaneza has served refugees from many countries for more than his role at Catholic Charities of Pittsburgh and NAMS. He worked in the refugees resettlement sector in different capacities, first as case manager, supervisor, and program director. Since July 2017, Mr. Mugwaneza has taken on a role to continue to serve immigrants and refugees as program manager at the Center for Inclusion Health at AJAPO Health Network. In this new role, he serves as a community engagement liaison between the growing immigrant community in Pittsburgh and AJAPO Health Network. He is also leading in the implementation of the Immigrant Health Program through the Center for Inclusion and Health. Mr. Mugwaneza came to the United States from Rwanda as a student in 2000 through the Parliamentary Scholarship at La Roche University. He graduated from La Roche University with a BS in Computer Information Systems and Business Administration, and he received a master's degree from University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Public and International Affairs. Last year, Mr. Mugwaneza was inducted into La Roche University's Distinguished Alumni Circle. He is a recipient of the 2015 Pittsburgh Korea Fabulous 40 Award and the 2012 Pittsburgh Magazine 40 Under 40 Award. From 2015 to 2018, Mr. Mugwaneza served as a co-chair of the Allegheny County Department of Human Services Immigrants and International Advisory Council. He is a member of the Steering Committee of All for All, community blueprint to assist immigrants in Allegheny County, and is also part of the Mayor's Welcome in Pittsburgh Advisory Council. I told you he has a long resume, so. He is a board member of several organizations whose role is to foster diversity and inclusion of immigrants and refugees in Pittsburgh. Mr. Mugwaneza is married to Rihanna, who's here, she's here with us today, and they both have two sons, 9, 5, and years old. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mugwaneza at the Masters of Ceremony for AJAPO 2019 Rocket Hope event.
Thank you so much, Jean-Pierre. That was a very good introduction. So, first of all, again, like Jean-Pierre said, I have to recognize my wife who came here with me. Her name is Raihan. She's right there. I also want to thank everybody for coming to this event tonight. This is a very important event to support AJAPO, the organization that's been doing great work in our region to help refugees, immigrants from all over the world. So I personally know AJAPO since I started working at Catholic Charities in early 2000. So their work is well known in this area. So when I got the call that they would like me to be here, I was very honored. So to be here to support AJAPO, Dr. Williams and her team are doing really great work in Pittsburgh.
I said good evening.
Good evening.
Awesome. My name is Kia Drummond, and I'm the current board chair of AJAPO Pittsburgh, and I'm humbled to stand before each of you and bring greetings on behalf of our organization's board members, refugees and immigrant families that we serve. It is such a blessing to see all of you here tonight, and we greatly appreciate all of your support. Let's clap it up for our guests that are here tonight. At this time, I would like to acknowledge all of the AJAPO staff and my fellow board members. If you could please stand. AJAPO staff. Thankful for our event sponsor, Allies for Health and Well-Being, as well as the support of our award recipients tonight, Macaulay Ministries. Now we'll turn it over to our fearless and compassionate Executive Director, Dr. Yinka Agaga Williams. Let's clap.
Good evening, everyone, again. Lots of people here, and more still on their way. This place is going to be full. And it's only because of you that we have AJAPO. If you are not supporting us, we wouldn't have survived up till now. So in my acknowledgement tonight, I just want to remember what we promised you. Many of you saw what that flyer said. It said you're going to have dance. It said you're going to have dinner. It said there's going to be raffle. And there's going to be everything truly. What we promise is what we're going to do. So as I start off with this acknowledgement, I'm going to tell you how it's going to go. When I call your name, you get up and you dance and rock to the music. If you're not a member of any of the groups that I called, your name is going to be friends and supporter of AJAPO. So you get up and you still dance to the music. Some of us know how to rock, just sitting there and kind of standing. But please, if you want to come here and show us your moves, all the better. So, here goes the roll call. Please get up and rock. I can see you're standing, but please rock it, rock it, rock it. Sister Hillary Hook, you're a supporter of refugees. Mr. and Mrs. Nori. Father John and Mrs. Adebi, get up from your chair. If you're not here, you will be called. The Solomons and their band.
mission statement up here, so I'll just read it for you. Our mission is to provide a continuum of care which empowers refugees and immigrants residing in greater Pittsburgh communities and Allegheny County to become self-sufficient and better integrated into our communities. Just a little history about the AJAPO. It started in 2001 by St. Benedict Moore Catholic Church in the Hill District, just up the road. And it was created in order to help Sudanese refugees who were resettled in Pittsburgh to acclimate to life in the United States. And in 2006, AJAPO was given its 501c3 nonprofit status, and now we are an affiliate of ECPC, which is one of the 9 voluntary organizations that helps resettle refugees in the United States. So we've grown from just working with Sudanese refugees to helping to resettle refugees from all over the world. At AJAPO we have our board of directors, which is the governing body for our organization, and our executive director, who is Dr. Williams, and she is in charge of overseeing all the various programs that we have at AJAPO that we have to work with refugees, and you'll see, we'll go into those programs later on in this presentation. So first, I'd like to talk about where the refugees that we work with come from and what life is like in a refugee camp. Because whenever refugees flee from their home countries to a neighboring country, like to Nepal, they're not allowed to establish permanent houses, and so they can use permanent building materials. And the same goes for Burmese refugees. This is a picture of a Burmese refugee camp in Thailand. This year we're seeing increasing numbers of Burmese refugees being resettled in the United States. And so what that leads to, whenever you're not allowed to have permanent residences, is that you have a lack of infrastructure in these highly populated communities. So that means no roads or hospitals or water lines or sewage. And you can imagine how difficult that might be even in the desert. So this is a picture of the Zatari refugee camp in northern Jordan in the desert, which is the largest refugee camp for Syrians. And it's also by population the 4th largest city in Jordan. But despite the fact that it is that large, there's still a severe lack of infrastructure. And so what we do at AJAPO is basically to reverse the situation for refugees by providing them access to housing, employment, healthcare, education, and permanent legal residency, with the ultimate goal of helping them become citizens who will be actively involved in and enriching to our community. But we don't only just work with refugees, we also work with SIVs from Afghanistan and Iraq. And for those of you who don't know what an SIV is, that's a special immigrant visa given to people from these countries who helped our armed forces when they were there. And so now they're fleeing their country for fear of persecution because of that. And so now I'm going to hand it off to Shannon to talk to you about the resettlement and placement program at AJAPO, which is the core of the resettlement process.
Hi everyone, I'm the Senior Case Manager for the Reception and Placement Program at AJAPO. Sorry, can you hear me better? Okay. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about that today. Reception and Placement is the first program that all refugees entering the United States will initially start out in. It is a short program. It ranges anywhere from 30 to 90 days, but it always ends at 3 months. And reception and placement begins before the refugee even arrives in Pittsburgh or the United States generally. Will receive an arrival notice anywhere from a few weeks to a few days before they will arrive in Pittsburgh, and we'll begin the process for them. The majority of that being finding and setting up housing, but also setting up the initial appointments that they'll need, and even grocery shopping and buying a prepared meal for them. Then of course we'll meet them at the airport and take them to their new home. The core of the program is case management and cultural orientation. It's very important that we teach newly arrived refugees how to navigate complicated U.S. systems, particularly healthcare and education. We'll also take them to all their initial appointments to get the necessary paperwork, primarily social security numbers, but also enrolling in entitlement programs such as food stamps, health insurance, and cash assistance. We'll also help children enroll in school. And while we're doing all of these things, we're really emphasizing teaching refugees how to do things for themselves, because the whole purpose is self-sufficiency and independence. And of course, teaching how to get from point A to point B is very important. So this is a picture of some AJAPO clients learning how to use the T in Pittsburgh. Okay, I'm going to hand it off to John now, because as I said, the program is very short, so we'll always transition clients from the R&P program into other programs at AJAPO. So John's going to talk to you about that.
Hello, my name is Jonathan, and I'm employment service. My name is Jonathan, and I'm employment. I'm a case manager for employment services. So I'm going to explain a little bit about refugee social services. So it's combined of case management and employment services. Supporting clients for job searching and creating resume and applying for a job and walking through all the interview processes until they get a job, and then we train them how to get to the job by taking the bus, training them what bus and where to take the bus and where to get off the bus, and the time between the buses, and how to use the phone for tracking bus time, and we help clients to download the app to check the city bus. So we do case management plus employment services. So a lot of people know employment services is just employment services, but it's a case management. So we work with the client from after the 90 days from the RMP to a 5-year. So we work almost 5 years with the client. So we help the client making a doctor appointment, hospital appointment in the schedule, and locate new appointment, a new hospital for them. And we work with them with the employer and employee to connect the gap between them. If the client need a day off or have to go to emergency, family emergency or a job emergency, we communicate with the employer. Housing issue, we always agree between the client and the landlord in case of a lot of situation in the housing, or they want to apply to the housing authority. So we complete all the success to move to a home that is very health and fit for the family. Childcare is the most important in my department, because if you don't have a childcare for the family, one person to work or cannot bring a good income to the family. So it's important to have childcare and to plan that so both parents can work and bring a good income home and to provide the family with everything they need. Thanks.
Hi everyone. A new population that we're starting to see come in are the parolees and asylees, and they come with their own unique set of challenges as well. Most of this has been all over the news, and you can see how there's additional challenges with people that are secured at the border and able to come into the country, but don't actually have any legal status here other than parolees, so they can't work and provide for their family. And so we've been partnering with a lot of local churches to provide services for these clients as well. And then, as John mentioned, many of the other clients here are not going to be self-sufficient after only 90 days into the country. So we have intensive case management services for those clients that we deem to be the most vulnerable. That includes ones that have severe medical and mental health challenges, single parents, survivors of torture, elderly clients, LGBTQ. And all these programs are focused on stability, making sure that they have housing, make sure their finances are in order, make sure their kids are doing well in school, and also goal setting and making sure that people have ambitions in this country and things that they want to achieve over the course of the long term, not just the first 90 days that they're here. We also focus on social integration. Perfect example is things like this. Really understanding what it is to live in this country and to be a part of the community. So this is an example of an acculturation training where the topics can vary from each one, but it's all about how to live in the United States and how to be an American citizen, how to function in this country. And then we also focus on community integration. So many of you know we had World Refugee Day earlier today as a celebration of refugees in this country. And we also, this is an example of one at the City Asylum, where we'll bring clients to community events and try to make it so that they are part of something, part of the community, and help with their social integration.
Hi everybody, my name's Ryan, and for the past 2 years I've had the good fortune to be able to work with AJAPO's youth development program. The youth development is something that's always been near and dear to AJAPO's and Dr. Williams' hearts. And so there have always been programs that we've been able to put on, pending availability, pending funding. But a couple of years ago, we were able to start the first formal program, and our theme for that year was STEAM education. So you can see up here a picture of a few of our students at the Citizen Science Lab. All of our sessions that year focused on STEAM and how we can empower refugees and immigrants to have a more equitable access to those jobs. So and then this year, our focus has turned to leadership development and academic success. And so we've had monthly sessions to talk about leadership with community leaders, including some who are present here today, and work with the kids to overcome any language barriers in their schools. We also want to talk about how our students have given back, and this is a perfect example of how all of our clients do that as well. So this is a photo of a session that we partnered with the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership to clean up the streets of Pittsburgh. Our youth were volunteering, and we just think it's a great example of how our clients make our city a better place to live. And so we look forward to continuing this program and continue searching for continuous funding, and so we appreciate anybody who would help us move forward in that mission. And I'm going to pass it to Kylie, who's going to talk about immigration.
Hello. So in the immigration department, we help refugees get green cards a year after they have arrived in the U.S. And then 5 years later, we help them obtain citizenship. We also help asylees and other immigrants with any immigration legal services that we can provide. And I'll pass it on to the next person.
Okay, so that was our presentation about what we do at AJAPO. And we'd like to thank you all for your support and for coming out here tonight. Thank you.
And my staff doing a marvelous job. Thank you, everyone. to acknowledge someone special here tonight, and that is Sister Hilary Hooks. You did hear the staff present parolees who are coming in and actually do not have much benefits, even though ICE and immigration has said, yeah, go into America, you have crossed the border, and all they do is, this is the paper to show that we examined you, then they dump them at some bus stop. And that's it. Sister Hilary's partners in Texas, a group of nuns working there for the grace of God, have brought us quite a number of people in Pittsburgh. And Sister Hilary has worked tirelessly with most of those as they are passed on to us for us to find them all the benefits. In particular, housing at this moment is a big, big deal. Please, if you do know how we can get some emergency funding for us to find them housing, we will truly appreciate it. Eventually they will get their papers, eventually they will get work, eventually they will want to stand on their own. In fact, right now they're all ready to stand on their own, but they're not allowed to work. Sister Hilary Hooks, Sisters of Providence, thank you very much.
All right, thank you everybody. So just to remind you again, if you have not got a raffle ticket, if you can please do that. So we're going to take a few minutes before we get to the end, if you can get the raffle ticket. So again, I just want to thank the AJAPO staff for their presentation about the services that they do. So from welcoming new refugees from the airport, to help them resettle, to get an apartment, to find them a job, you know, to take them to see a doctor, it's a lot of work. So what they didn't tell you, they say case management, but they didn't mention that it's intensive case management from the beginning for at least the first 6 months. So very, very intensive case management, a lot of work. So thank you for your support for being here tonight. So again, if you can just take a few minutes and get the raffle ticket if you haven't, then in 5 minutes, dinner is going to be served. So we'll have people come at your table and invite you to go for dinner. But if you can get the raffle tickets first, if you haven't, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. I have just a small little dingy catering service called Caribbean Blues. And I do want to thank AJAPO for asking for my services for tonight. So just to give you a rundown of the menu, you already have it in front of you. Just the lineup of the menu is, first you'll come up with jollof rice. Jollof rice is pretty much a stewed rice. It's tomato sauce with just that hint, a little hint of pepper. So it's not spicy at all. Please don't be afraid to try. After that, you have the goat stew. Don't be afraid. One of those things that you don't need to be afraid of. It's just like beef. It's so good. The meat falls off the bone. You will enjoy it. I hope you're okay with your palate tonight. Then, of course, we have the traditional pasta for the Italians in us. There's a friend of mine that used to say Italians are black people that lost their tan. So we have some pasta tonight. It's Alfredo pasta. And we have some chicken. Now this chicken is Romano chicken. Typically people fry their Romano chicken. I don't do that. So we can have a little bit of cheese and chicken, and it's baked in with my own, I soak it, I marinate it for overnight. So you can literally cut that chicken with a fork. Then we move on to plantains. How many of you know plantains? Yes, that's the sweet stuff. It's the ripe African bananas. They're big bananas, but it's fried, it's soft, it's sweet, it's scrumptious. From that, we move on to, I have a special event tonight that you don't have on your menu there. It's beans. It's nothing like baked beans. It's African beans. We call it honey beans. It's very soft. It's very sweet. It's naturally sweet. Now there's a pepper that goes with that. Now I dare you all to try that pepper. Just make sure you either ask for milk or make sure you have enough water close by when you try that pepper. It's real hot. But everything else on the menu is so good. I really hope you come with your palate tonight to try everything. Now to wash all that food down, we have a nice, rich, layered Black Forest cake. Oh, it melts in the mouth. I can taste it right now. And then for those who love carrot cake, we have carrot cake. Now I have homemade, and I can tell you this was not made by me. This is authentic Hispanic 3-milk cake. And in between it is layered peaches. Oh gosh, it is so good. Do you hungry yet? Well, I will stop right now. Please enjoy your dinner.
She makes you hungry.
leave my country. You know, leave everything, my memories, my future that I worked for years. And my destination was Egypt. I went to Egypt for 5 years. I built, you know, starting another story. New work, new schools for my kids. I have 3 girls. And my goal was to, you know, as a father and a mother, we decided to give them a better life. And when we moved to Egypt, I started a new work. I always owned my business. So I said, okay, here we are, we can start. And then after 5 years in Egypt, you remember 2011, revolution, all that mess. And I said, okay, I'm not going to experience that again. So I moved to Jordan for 5 years. And then I said, what if something happened in Jordan? Where am I going? So then I decided to go to UNHCR and register as a refugee. I've been on top of my work, I was doing good, but unsafe, unstable. Literally unstable, because you cannot expect what's coming up. And maybe a week, a month, a year, you don't know. And then they called me and said, do you like to go to the United States? I said, well, I love to. Do you think I would say no? Of course. Give me the ticket. So they said, okay, there you are. 2 or 3 months, I was on the plane. We came here 2014 in March. So that was 5 years and 3 months now. I got my citizenship 2 weeks ago. Thank you. When I moved here, I said, okay, I will do it. I will make it. I cannot be anything other than a successful man taking care of a successful family. My oldest daughter doing dentistry now, studying dentistry overseas in Romania. The middle one is studying pre-med in Knox College, Illinois. And the third one, thank you. And the third one is a senior now, and she is trying to studying law to be a lawyer. So I just want to say, no matter what situation you are in, if you have a dream, if you need to do something, you can do it. If you have the will to do it. Especially if your family supporting you. Luckily, I have my beautiful wife next to me always, all the time. She's a chef. She's taking care of me, you know, but in all ways, cooking good food, taking care of everyone in my family. Also, I have good brothers and sisters. They're not in the United States. They're somewhere else. but they're always supporting. Last year, when I moved to the state, I worked as a photographer, and also I worked for AJAPO on staff. So I saw myself how they, when we came, I saw them the first day at the airports. They helped me how to, to settle. And then I worked as a case manager for them. And I saw how it looks like behind the scene. As a refugee, maybe they don't know how difficult taking care, of everything. Their housing, their papers, their health, their appointments, everything. So when I worked for AJAPO, I saw that, and I worked hard to take care of others, as we have to do this, as people taking care of each other. This is the community. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening to my story, and I'd like to thank AJAPO for all the hard work they do for refugees and for the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Omar and Bashar. Thank you for sharing your story, very inspiring. And thank you for the work that you do in giving back to your community in spite of all the challenges that you went through. So now we want to go our next guest speaker. And our next speaker is Bande Mwape. She's a clinician at UPMC.
Good evening, everyone. First, that was a beautiful speech. Thank you for reminding us to continue to strive for the things that we want. So thank you, that was beautiful. So my name is Mpande Mwape. I'm a native of Lusaka, Zambia. And I came here to the United States accompanied by my mother in the year 1999 at the tender age of 9 years old. So my mother and I arrived together, and then my 2 younger siblings followed us in the following year. We settled here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, and quickly became adjusted and acclimated to our environment. I went to elementary school, middle school, and high school here. I remember working very hard at school, and being the oldest of 5 children, helping my then single mother out with taking care of my younger siblings. We had a good home. My mom is right there. We had a good home. My mom worked hard as a single mom, working 2, sometimes 3 jobs to just give us what we need. And we had everything that we needed because of my mom. I really enjoyed my childhood here in Pittsburgh. I made a lot of friends. I made plans, and I aspired every year to live what we heard about this so-called American dream. In 2006, I graduated from Mount Lebanon Senior High School, and this is the same year that my mother applied for adjustment of status, and that was for us to get our green card. She petitioned for me and herself, planning on petitioning for my brothers later because she could only afford to do the 2 at the time. Once our petitions were in, we got our employment authorizations, and I had the pleasure of entering the workforce after high school, started taking classes at CCAC towards an accounting degree. Unfortunately, a little while later, tragedy struck our family when immigration denied our petitions due to the difference in our cultures and traditions. They did not understand our cultures and traditions, and so therefore they said, these things you've given us are not valid, no, you will not get your green card. Our family then began what will become, or what was, a long struggle, going through deportation proceedings, going through filing appeals over and over and being denied. All our plans and dreams were put to stop. They were all at a halt from then on. Despite the harsh reality at the time, I was fortunate enough that CCAC allowed me to continue in my studies. I switched my major from accounting to nursing, hoping that by the time I graduated, I would have my green card and can start working as a nurse. Unfortunately, that was not the case. I graduated, I walked, I got my degree, but I could not work because I didn't have my employment authorization or my ID. I couldn't sit for my nursing boards, and again, I had to wait. I continued to pray for a miracle, and in around 2010-ish, that miracle was granted in the form of AJAPO. Around this time, I was referred to Mama Yinka, who many know as Dr. Williams. I met her and her staff, and they listened to our pleas and listened to our story, the wonderful people at AJAPO. They researched on our behalf, put a case together that helped us show immigration that our traditions are valid and allowed them to recognize that the traditional practices can be accepted, the ones that they denied before. Based on this research and our arguments, we were able to show that the grounds for their refusal were invalid, and they were therefore able to grant my mother's petition, and she got her green card. So after getting her green card, she was able to then file for her children, and so she did. She filed for my two younger siblings to get their green cards, and their petitions got approved. In the meantime, time had gone on, and I had grown up into an adult. And according to immigration law, I had aged out. My mother couldn't file for me to get a green card. Mama Yinka continued to work with me. She kept on giving me hope that this was not the end, and we kept on pushing. In around 2014, everybody knows about DACA. I am a dreamer. Because thanks to the DREAM Act, I was able to apply for, she's making me cry. I was able to apply for my employment authorization. 2 years after graduating nursing school, I sat for my nursing boards, and thanks be to God, I passed the first time. And I started to work as a nurse. Finally, after 8 long years of deportation proceedings and failed appeals, I got something that I wanted. Good fortune continued to follow me from there when a kind immigration officer saw my case and recognized the error that was made by immigration in their prior denial. Thanks to his diligence and that of everybody at AJAPO, they agreed to change my filing dates to the original filing date so that my mother could then file for my green card as her child. So we did all of that, and my petition got approved. And in 2016, 10 years after I graduated high school, I got my green card. So as you can imagine, this was a very overwhelming time. It was the most overwhelming and exciting time of my whole entire young life. So when I sat down, I realized that I had a list of things that had piled up over the years and was waiting for me to do. I was overwhelmed, but I decided that all I could do is start to check off the boxes Now, one of the things that meant the most to me was for me to fulfill a promise that I made to myself, and that was to get my master's degree before I was 30. So I enrolled in school, I got my bachelor's in nursing, and then I went to Carlo and enrolled in their master's degree program. And I'm excited to say that this past May, I graduated with my master's in nursing leadership and education. My education at Carlo was wonderful. They really did a wonderful job of preparing me to be a leader and giving me the courage to enter into this nursing leadership world. I currently work at UPMC as a clinician, and I've worked there since maybe 2017. UPMC is one of the largest healthcare providers in Pennsylvania, and they are a wonderful place to work. I have nothing but good things to say about them. They have allowed me to climb the ranks, beginning as a staff nurse, and move up the ladder to become a nurse leader as a clinician, which is the position I hold now. I'm also grateful to Carlo, who embraced me. They allowed me in their program. They taught me and imparted me with knowledge, and when I was done, they gave me the awesome opportunity to teach as a clinical instructor in their nursing program. So though things didn't go as planned, I am grateful for the path that I was given. I'm glad that I was led away from accounting and given the opportunity to become a nurse, to be in a profession that is giving. To be in a giving profession is probably the biggest honor that I could ever have, because I am able to give hope, to bring joy, and give that miracle that I got from AJAPO and so many different places. I'm able to give that to other people in a different way, and that brings me so much joy. Next on my list was traveling. So I had a job that could afford me to travel. I had the ID to get on the plane, and so I did. And so I've been to so many places and have had the wonderful opportunity of going around meeting different people and seeing this beautiful country. I was also able to, in 2018, almost 20 years after I had left Zambia, I was able to go back and visit. It was bittersweet because in the meantime, my father had passed away. But I was very grateful for the opportunity to go and have a memorial for him and meet my family members who I hadn't seen in a long, long time. So all in all things said, there's so much more I could be grateful for. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Mama Yinka and everybody at AJAPO and anyone and everyone who helped me hold on to hope and helped me keep moving. I'd like to thank you all for everything that you've done. And I'd like to give a big thank you to this United States of America for allowing me to live my American dream. Thank you.
I am just licensed to do some work. Bill Bosek is the lawyer. So when I get stuck, Bill, can you please come around and get this form signed? And he is there. He signed all those forms and to help us get our green card in the end. So it just shows you how when we all work together, things can happen.
Thank you, Rika, and thank you, Bhakti, for sharing your story. That was very inspiring, and I don't know if anybody was able to see that table. There was so many, like a lot of emotions. Is that your daughter?
My daughter?
No. Okay. So there was a lot of emotions there, and I'm sure it's not only that table. So thank you for sharing that story. But again, that speaks to the work of AJAPO that does. Yes, let's give them a round of applause. From the story that we just heard from Amal and Bashar, and from your story, so we can see two different type of stories, but the struggles are the same. So talking about a refugee and somebody who's already in the country who need to adjust their status. She mentioned about the immigration not understanding her culture, her traditions. And that was an issue with her application. I don't know the details, but that again speaks to the work that AJAPO does, which is helping the service provider understand the culture, the tradition of immigrants and refugees. And working with AJAPO, I know that this is something that Dr. Inka Williams talks about all the time. It's very important to understand immigrants and refugees. It's not only about the language. There are some other aspects related to the culture that people need to understand. So again, thank you for you and Amal and Bashar for sharing your story. Thank you very much. Let's give them another round of applause. Now next we're gonna do the first raffle ticket, and it's gonna be, now I want Sister Marjorie and Sister Dana to come here.
Go for it. This is the wine and cheese evening delight. You should all have your numbers looking at it.
First wine and cheese delight basket is number 8, 9, 8, 3, 7, 7. You can pick it up at the end, okay? But we'll have you sign unless you want to carry it now. This young woman right here. Oh, this is the comfort care. Okay. Okay, no peeking.
Yeah, so I can write it down.
Okay, this is the comfort care, and this is the winning number. 8, 9, 8, 3, 7, 3. Okay, we have a winner. Oh, my friend from Providence. Jean-Pierre, you pick somebody from your table to come up here and pull the next one. He's sending his wife. Here. And this is the crock pot gourmet meals. It's a set of 2. And the winner is number 8, 9, 8, 4, 8, 6. And the lucky winner is 8, 9, 8, 4, 5, 7. And for the coffee fragrance, the number is 8, 9, 8, 4, 1, 2. That's you.
AJAPO is honored to present Macaulay Ministries with the 2019 Supporter of the Year Award. Through the generous support and selfless effort of Macaulay Ministries, many lives throughout the Pittsburgh region have been transformed and uplifted. as well as healed and made whole. In recognition of their unwavering assistance to AJAPO and the immigrant and refugee community of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we proudly commemorate their benevolent outreach and inspiring success with this acknowledgement. McCauley Ministries was established in 2008 by the Sisters of Mercy to serve as a catalyst for change by committing resources and working collaboratively to promote healthy and vibrant communities. The vision of the organization is to be a good neighbor whose support contributes to neighborhoods that are safe, vibrant, and celebrated, and where residents are healthy and enabled to reach their full potential. Their efforts take into consideration the ideals and principles of the group's namesake, Catherine McCauley, who founded the Sisters of Mercy in Dublin, Ireland in 1831. Catherine McCauley stated, "The simplest and most practical lesson I know is to resolve to be good today, but better tomorrow." Since its inception, McCauley Ministries continues to be an outstanding neighbor and champion for AJAPO and its patrons. Their philanthropic support is enduring and their commitment remains steadfast. Even through difficult times of challenge and crisis, McCauley Ministries is a forthright and committed partner. The board of directors, staff, and executive director of McCauley Ministries for all that they do on behalf of the immigrants and refugee community of Pittsburgh. Please join me in congratulating this year's Radiate Hope Supporter of the Year, McCauley Ministries. So, that was to introduce you.
Well, thank you so very much. We're really honored to receive the Radiate Hope Award. I would like the members of the McCauley Ministries Board to stand. They work so very hard. See, they don't listen to me. They work really, really hard to invest in the greatest needs in our community. So I'm really grateful to work with wonderful people that we have on our board. I would also like to thank Dr. Williams, her team, and the board of AJAPO. You know, we live in a time when the narrative is to divide us. And, you know, we know that violence can be found in individuals of all races, all creeds, all religions, and violence by one person does not define an entire group, and it's wrong to label an entire group by the actions of one person. We also know that when our God deposited gifts and talents in His people, He didn't stop at the borders of the United States of America. We heard that today. We heard from a business owner. We heard from a nurse leader. We need all of those gifts and talents in our community and in our city. So I think it's fitting that we're here today on World Refugee Day to commemorate the strength and courage and perseverance of refugees and immigrants who choose to live in our city. I was so inspired by the stories that we heard today, so thank you for sharing those stories with us. So we honor you, we honor AJAPO, we honor you for bringing hope to our people. Thank you so very much.
hallelujah. They hold me for ransom, cause I'm young and I'm rich and I'm handsome. They won't hold me for ransom, cause I'm young and I'm rich and I'm handsome. Oh yeah, shake body. Oh yeah, move body. Make you ring the alarm. Oh yeah, shake body. Move it, take a look at inside the city. Breaking, breaking, far away, take a look.